So I was just cruising the YouTube streets. I was actually doing research on something, and this popped up, and it's free. It's free on YouTube. So I had been seeing this movie or this documentary for quite a while, just pop up in different places, and I always just brushed it off. I'm like, man, I've been watching. Yeah, if you know me, you already know how deep I am in the trenches, bro. I was on So Suave and all types of stuff, bro. We talking about the 2000s. So we talking about close to 20 years of like consuming men content, and I'm not even 40. So with that being said, I didn't think I could get much value from this. I thought I was going to hear a bunch of stuff that I've already heard. But I clicked it and I said, you know what? Let me see what it's about. And listen, man, I didn't plan on sitting down and watching it, man. That joint is like an hour and 57 minutes. I watched the whole thing in one sitting on the phone. Highly, highly, highly recommended. And we're going to talk about some of the things in the documentary slash movie. And I'm going to try and get as much as I can in 10 minutes. That's what I'm going to try and do. And I'm not going to go super in depth. I say stuff like that and still do. But listen, to me, this movie, a lot of the things that they were talking about, I was aware of, but there were different things in there, like little nuggets that I wasn't aware of as far as information. But also, I really feel like what made this and fleshed it out was the stories. And not even just the stories. It was, okay, they're following men's rights activists in the movie, right? That's who they're talking to. It's a feminist, actually. She made this documentary, fam. So she came into it with an open mind, trying to hear the perspectives of the men's rights activists. She was surprised because what she was told and how she was conditioned is that these guys are completely anti-feminism, anti-feminist, and they are misogynist and etc. But when she was listening to the points that they were saying, none of that was coming out. So there was a point where she even tried to like get the conditioning back. She tried to recondition herself back into feminism, and it wasn't working. Because once you're faced with the truth, it's really hard to go back to the lies. So that was very interesting to see, and that's a good dynamic to watch. And the one thing that I do have to salute the men's rights activists on is trying to get different legislation and laws passed and stuff like that. And, you got feminists who protest against certain stuff, like, them trying to get, paternity fraud laws changed and stuff like that. And feminists still try to like protect that. They still try to protect stuff like that. It's crazy. But let's backtrack a little bit. So it follows these men's rights activists and stuff like that. She's really unbiased as far as, how she takes in the information, how it's given out. And it's not anti-women. Like none of the stuff that they are saying is bashing women. And one of the things that's really fascinating is that you see all these guys talking, right? You see all of them talking. She goes to the feminists and she goes to people who are aligned with feminists like other men and gender studies guys and stuff like that. They will make straw man points. When faced with certain things that the men are saying, or just when faced with certain issues, they will make straw man points that none of the guys have said. They will try and make it seem like the men want to strip the women of something just to make their point. Now, the reason, and I don't know if I said this already, it's kind of at one point, I felt like it was a horror movie. When you get to the points where they're talking about the paternity stuff that is going on with these fathers and how the kids are being leveraged against these fathers. And even then you got, situations where guys are raising multiple kids that are not theirs. It's really horrific. But this is not somebody just saying this stuff. This is real life situations with real life people, real life names that have actually happened. And then again, when the other side is faced with this stuff, as far as like people who support feminists and they hear about these issues, they can't just accept it and say that it's messed up. They can't just accept it. They have to find a way to go against it and act like that's not a problem, or this is just anecdotal. This is not happening to a lot of men, et cetera, et cetera. But you know how some women use the kids as pawns. They go over a lot of that. They go over women fooling men into pregnancies and things like that, and still using the kids as leverage, you know, to get the money to exploit the man and stuff like that. Men who don't get the chance to raise their kids. It's just that whole section gets crazy. But then there was something that was very enlightening. You know, they went over the Boko Haram situation. And I'm not going to go in depth because if you watch it, you'll see it. If you watch it, you'll see it. Like I said, I recommend that you watch it. But I'm still going to give away this piece, which is like the point of all of that Boko Haram stuff. Like, they killed over 1,000 boys and men. Over 1,000 boys and men. When they kidnapped 200 women, that's when Western media started paying attention. For years, they had been killing boys. Nobody cared. But once they kidnapped, didn't even kill, kidnapped, didn't even kill, kidnapped 200 girls, Western media, you start seeing all this, we want the girls back, bring our girls back, all this stuff, which don't get it twisted. The girls should have definitely been freed. Boko Haram was terrible. And this is something that definitely needed to be highlighted, and they needed to be stopped. But the thousands of deaths didn't trigger that. And it just highlights how disposable males are seen as, even boys. And that's just the surface level. Like, they go deeper on that, so definitely watch for that part. Now, I got to put this chick on the screen because I never knew where the meme came from. This is where the meme of her came from. Her name is Big Red. She was a feminist in the movie, and she was extremely obnoxious when she spoke to one of the men's rights activists. She was highly disrespectful for no reason, very emotional. And yeah, the conversation, of course, was, you already know what I say on this channel. Like, it's pointless to have a lot of these conversations. She proved in real time why it was pointless. And listen, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, they meet women that are men's rights activists. You know, they meet, what you call it, a woman who opened up men and women's shelters. They talk about, you know, how men only have one shelter out of all the domestic violence shelters. You know, they talk about, you know, how men are not taken serious in situations where they are victims. Like, it's a lot of stuff that they cover. And it's not that they cover it, it's the detail that is covered in. That's something I appreciate. Really, the dynamics of the movie that make the movie are, you know, not just a lot of the footage and stuff like that, but the fact that this is a feminist woman and she is trying to come in with somewhat of an open mind, and she even gets to a point where she tries to close her mind. But it's literally like she took the red pill, because once you know, and once you can logically, like, she's somebody who's sound in her mind, like, once you sit with the actual people leading this movement and find out that they are not malicious and they are not the picture that they are being painted as, and you haven't heard anything that you could strongly disagree with or anything that actually strongly goes against feminism, like, it's hard for you to, you know, just go back to being anti, because they're giving you nothing to hate. And that's the other dynamic, seeing the feminists and stuff like that. They are, you know, just manufacturing the hate out of thin air. They're saying that the men's rights activists are saying things that she interviewed a lot of them. None of them said the things that the feminists said that they were saying, or the feminist representatives as far as the guys. And those dynamics as far as her journey and, you know, the feminist responses, and also seeing some of these guys, you know, go and do speaking engagements and stuff like that. Those are the things that make the movie or the documentary pretty gripping enough to watch for 2 hours straight. So with that, yes, I do recommend it. Definitely check it out if you haven't checked it out. Even if you know all the talking points and stuff like that, it's because I thought I wouldn't get any value from it. Definitely got some value from it. Go and check it out.